Most people don't ruin their lives in one moment. It doesn't happen suddenly. It doesn't feel like a collapse. It happens slowly, quietly, inside something that feels safe. There is always time, or at least, that's what we tell ourselves. He was in his mid-20s when he first thought about changing his life. Nothing dramatic, no crisis, no breaking point. Just a quiet feeling that something wasn't right. The job paid the bills. The routine was familiar. The days felt predictable. And every time the thought appeared, maybe it's time to move on, he pushed it away. Not now. Not yet. There's still time. Months passed, then a year. The idea returned from time to time, usually late at night or in moments of silence. But the mornings always felt the same. Safe, manageable, normal. So he stayed. And this is how it usually begins, not with a mistake, not with a tragedy, but with comfort, the kind that doesn't feel dangerous, the kind that feels reasonable. Predictable days, stable routines, decisions postponed until later. Comfort rarely looks like a problem. It looks like safety, like patience, like responsibility. The human brain is designed to avoid discomfort, not because it wants you to fail, but because it wants you to survive. Anything uncertain feels risky. Anything unfamiliar feels unsafe. So the mind chooses what it already knows. The same job, the same habits, the same environment, the same people. Even if none of it feels fulfilling anymore. What was supposed to be temporary starts to feel permanent. One day turns into a year turns into a habit, and habits quietly become a life. Not a dramatic life, not a tragic one, just smaller than it could have been. Maybe you've felt this. Not as a crisis, not as a breakdown, but as a quiet realization that days are repeating themselves, that time is moving, but nothing meaningful is changing. And the strange part is, it doesn't feel urgent enough to act. Comfort doesn't destroy people overnight. It doesn't take anything away all at once. It simply makes staying easier than leaving. And one day, the realization arrives quietly. There was time. There was always time. Just never a moment that felt like the right one. And that's how comfort works. Not by ruining lives suddenly, but by quietly making sure they never truly begin. Comfort shows up first in career, not as failure, but as acceptance. You tell yourself the job is fine, it pays enough, it's stable, and stability feels mature, responsible. But slowly, something changes. You stop looking for better options. You stop updating your skills. You stop imagining something bigger. Not because you're incapable, but because nothing is forcing you to move. And comfort makes staying feel smart. Years pass like this. No disasters, no dramatic mistakes, just a slow narrowing of possibilities. Until one day, the idea of starting over feels more frightening than staying exactly where you are. Comfort shows up in money too, not through poverty, through small decisions. You spend a little more than you planned. You avoid checking your bank account. You delay learning how investing works. You tell yourself you'll figure it out later, and later never feels urgent because nothing is collapsing. The bills are paid. The lifestyle feels normal, but comfort quietly replaces growth. You trade long-term security for short-term ease. You avoid discomfort today and accept limitation tomorrow, not in one dramatic loss, but in small financial ceilings that slowly become permanent. And maybe the most powerful place comfort hides is in daily habits. The alarm rings. You press snooze, not once, but every morning. You say you'll start tomorrow. You say next week will be different. You say when things calm down. But habits don't need drama to define you. They just need repetition. Small choices, repeated quietly. Comfort turns effort into inconvenience, discipline into discomfort, action into something you'll do later. And over time, the person you could have become is replaced by the person who chose ease one ordinary day at a time. There's a man who planned to leave his job for 3 years, not because he hated it, because he knew he was capable of more. He saved job offers, watched courses, made plans late at night. But every morning, the routine pulled him back. It was easier to stay. The salary was predictable. The expectations were known. And change could wait. It always could wait. Until the idea of leaving stopped feeling realistic and started feeling unnecessary. There's someone who always meant to get serious about money. Nothing extreme, just budgeting, just learning, just starting. But life was busy. Expenses felt manageable. There was always another month, another paycheck, another reason to postpone. And comfort slowly turned financial awareness into something optional, not urgent, not critical, just something for later. Later became years, and years became habits. And then there's the daily version, the quiet one, the one no one notices, skipping the workout, ordering instead of cooking, scrolling instead of thinking, choosing easy instead of necessary. Nothing dramatic happens, no visible consequences, just a life slowly shaped by the absence of discomfort. Not ruined, not broken, just reduced, smaller than it could have been. Comfort always has a price, not immediately, not obviously, but over time it takes things quietly, opportunities you never notice, skills you never develop, paths you never try. It doesn't feel like loss, it feels like stability. But stability, without growth, slowly turns into limitation, and limitation becomes identity. You start to believe this is who you are, someone who plays it safe, someone who waits, someone who avoids risk, not because you're weak, because comfort trained you to be careful, and careful feels right. Until one day, you realize how small your world has become. Not because life attacked you, but because nothing pushed you forward. Comfort doesn't collapse lives. It reduces them. Piece by piece. Decision by decision. Until the version of you that once wanted more is barely recognizable. Not gone. Just buried under years of choosing what felt easier. Time doesn't usually disappear all at once. It fades, quietly, in routines that feel normal, in choices that feel reasonable, in days that feel safe. Comfort doesn't look dangerous. It looks like patience, like stability, like control. And that's why it's so easy to stay. Because nothing feels urgent enough to change. Nothing feels broken enough to fix. Life keeps working, even when it stops moving forward. And one day, without any dramatic moment, a person realizes something simple. They didn't lose their life. They just never fully entered it. Not because they didn't care, not because they lacked ambition, but because comfort made waiting feel smarter than acting, safer than risking, easier than trying. And time kept passing anyway. That's the quiet truth about comfort. It doesn't ruin lives. It postpones them until postponing becomes permanent.